Okay, one of the effects that I'm going to show you today is how to take a blurred image and sharpen it. Um, Basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this Educate Online image right here. We're going to go from a blurred image, as you can see right here, and turn it into this crisp image. This has a lot of utility or a lot of uses on a website. If you had an image that was, say, blurred and you wanted it to sharpen, you wanted to motion tween and sharpen into the original image as you moused over it, you could do that. There are a lot of ways that you can use this type of feature. What I'm going to do is show you how to do it with images that can be created in GIMP, Artweaver, any of those types of free programs, or Photoshop. And this is really for Flash. I'm showing you the way to do it if you're using an older version of Flash, Flash 5, Flash MX, Flash MX 2004. This is before Flash Professional came along and had filters, and I'm going to show you how to do it with filters also. But this is one of those situations where we're going to use it as if we didn't have the ability to have filters for us. Okay. So what I've done is I've created this image, and it's just an image in Photoshop. It's 250 by 100, and I came in and I created a bitmap. Well, it's not a bitmap, it's a GIF. What I need to do is turn this, actually convert it to a symbol, and I can convert it to a movie clip, I can convert it to a button, I can convert it to a graphic, but it really doesn't matter. I'm just going to give it the name logo, hit OK. Oh, it's already taken because it's in my logo A. Hit OK. So now I have logo there, and I'm going to do the same thing with the logo blur, but in this case I'm going to put it, you'll see I have 3 layers open here. I'm going to put it on the second layer right here, and I'm just going to grab it and throw it on here for right now. I want to turn this, convert this to a symbol as well, and I'm just going to say logo blur A. What I did was I imported these. I went to File, Import, and then I imported them to the library. I could have imported them onto the stage. It really doesn't matter because I can, once I've have them, I have access to them, and I can either put them in the library. Once I convert them to a symbol, they're automatically going to go into the library, so that's no big deal. Okay, so the other thing is these images are going to need, you'll see that these are the 2 same images, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually put one on top of the other, so that what happens is this alpha, we've got an alpha tween actually that's we're going to apply to this. Now we could have it do a motion tween, we can mask the bottom image, we can do a whole bunch of things that that would really dress this up, but we're just going to work with the basic for right now. I want these 2 images to be one on top of the other. Okay, so what I can do is, in this case, I'm going to Control X, come back here, click in the first layer, hit Edit, Paste in Center. What that does is it pastes it into the center of my stage. I'm going to grab this image and I'm going to do the same thing. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit Control X, I'm going to come in here, hit Paste in Center, and what it's going to do is put it directly over the center of the bottom image. We need that to happen. We need those 2 to be directly over each other so that when we change the blur to the crisp image, it looks as though it's actually sharpening. Okay, so it needs to be directly on top of it. If I was going to apply a motion tween or something, have it tween in, I could do that. Maybe in the blur filter, I could slant the blur so that I motion tween it in so that it looks like it's being blown, and then once it establishes its position, we would actually could see it sharpen into the logo, into the crisp image that we have. Okay, so I have a frame rate of 12 frames per second. If I want this to sharpen in 1 second, I'm going to go here to basically to these 2 frames. I'm going to right mouse click and hit Insert keyframes. I don't necessarily need the bottom keyframe, so I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that. I'm going to clear the keyframe so that I just have the bottom frame looking like that. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to come to this frame, or I'm sorry, this frame, and what I'm going to do at this level here is I'm going to actually come in here and I'm going to give it change the tween. Okay, I'm going to actually come in here and change the look of the image. So to do that, I'm going to need to select the filter, or I'm sorry, select the image in this layer, in this keyframe right here. So I'm selecting the image, and you'll notice that I have color down here. I'm going to come down here and I'm just actually going to change to alpha. And I'm going to change this alpha to 0 so that what happens is, you'll notice if I apply it 100%, what I have is the original image over this image. So what I'm doing is I'm actually just going to kind of come in here and blur this by changing the alpha to 0. Next, I want to come in here, right mouse click, create motion tween. So what's happening is here's my original blurred image, and as the alpha tweens down, I get my original image. So what I have now is, if I show you this, what's happening is you'll notice that it's looping. That's why it's doing that. So let's do one more thing. Let's change layer 3 to actions. I'm going to right mouse click and insert a blank keyframe here, and here I'm going to put a stop action on this frame. So I'm just going to go to actions, type in stop, close parentheses, and terminate that line of program. I'm going to close this. We're going to go ahead and hit Control Enter, check out our movie, and there it goes. Now if you want it longer, if you want this motion tween to take longer, you can obviously do that. You can stretch this out so that it takes a little longer to do that. So I can do that by just grabbing these 3 things right here. Oops. Grabbing all 3 of those, pulling them, and let's say we'll go out to 25, roughly about 25, 26 frames. So now what we have is something that takes a little bit longer to blur out. Okay, so it's not that long though. I mean, it happens relatively quick because we don't have quite a lot of blur, so we've got to be real careful. So again, if I hit Control Enter, here's what it looks like, and you can see that it takes a little bit of time. Let's play again. So there it is, and there it comes into a crisp image. As I said, you can go in and do the same thing with an image. I'm sure there are tons of ways you can think about doing this if you want to use this on your website. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we do it if we're going to use the text that's currently, the text and filters that's in Flash 8 or CS. Okay, so we're going to do basically the text and the filters that we have access to in Macromedia Professional, in Flash 8 or Flash CS or CS2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple layers. So I've added these 2 layers right here. Okay. Actually, I can add just one if I want to. I'm going to grab some text here, and I'm going to say educate.online.org. And when we are working with this, one of the things that we need to remember is that we want to treat this as we want to convert this to a symbol, because our motion tweening and things like that aren't going to work unless we are able to convert them to a symbol. The other thing that you have to remember is if you're using text that is not on, or a font that is not on the machine that is viewing the web page, you're going to get some problems down the road on your website. So let's say you'll notice that, whoops, let's go back here. I have some fonts in here that aren't probably going to be on, Blackadder or Baby Blocks or anything like that. I have some fonts in here that are not going to be on other computers. So one of the things I want to remember is by turning this into a symbol, I can go in and keep the text. Basically, I'm turning it into a graphic is what I'm doing. I want you to think of it in those terms. So I need to come in, select this, hit modify, convert to symbol. Okay, and I'm going to treat this as a graphic, and I'm just going to say sample. Hit OK. Oh shoot, I already have sample in there. Let's say sample logo. Hit OK. So now I have educateonline.org as the sample logo. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right mouse click in here. I'm going to insert a keyframe here, or a blank keyframe, because I'm going to put some more text or the text in here. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to actually come in here. Whoops, let's do this. I'm going to come in here and duplicate this, except I'm going to call this logo blur. Okay, so now what I have is I'm going to drop this down into here. Oops. Now the other thing I could have done is I could have easily come in here, taken this out, inserted a keyframe here. Oops, let's go ahead and take those out, darn it. Clear keyframe, and then come back in here and inserted a keyframe. Okay, so now I have two instances of this. I have this one and I have this one. Well, in this one, I can just say, you know what, let's duplicate this. So we're going to duplicate this symbol, and we're going to say this is logo. Now remember, I've already called one blur. We'll call this blur A. Hit OK. So now I have blur A here, and I have blur in this one here. Okay. So I'm going to come back here, and on this one I'm going to double click here because, oops, wrong one. Yeah, no, that's right. I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to select this text. Just come in, double click, select the text, and then I'm going to go to filters, and I'm going to add filters. I need to click on that. I'm going to go to blur, and I see blur here. Actually, what I want is, we're going to blur this out a little bit. Well, it should blur for us, gosh darn it. Let's go one more time. I want to get a little something something here, and that should give me blur. And for some reason it is not giving me the blur. So let's go back and look and see what's going on here. Ah, good, there we go. Okay, so what I have now is this blur, and then I have that right there. Okay, what I couldn't see was that it was applied the blur, and we just couldn't see it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I've got this, and I have this logo, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go to this. Oops, let's click on it. We're going to click on that. We're going to change the alpha. Now, I don't have to have such a big blur right there, but let's do this and make sure that we are seeing what's going on here. And see, I have such a big blur, and it's really screwing up my little alpha tweening because I did the wrong way, of course. So let's go back and undo this. Let's get our, in fact, you know what, let's go back and undo this, because I want to come back here, and I don't want to have this as blurred as I did before. So I want to come here. Let's see. I want to, we'll go back in here. Let's change this a little bit. We've got this filter applied here, so we've got it right there. Let's change this so it's not quite so blurry. Let's see how that looks. It's still pretty blurry. Let's go back in. And we'll go back to our filters. You know what, let's take one of these blurs out. Let's see how that looks at 72. That's not too bad. But let's double click it again. We'll come in here. and go to our filters again. Maybe pick that not quite so blurry there. There we go. How's that? You can kind of sort of make it out. So we'll go back to our scene. What I'm going to do here though is I'm going to insert a keyframe here. And the reason I'm going to do that is here's the keyframe where our text pops. Here's this keyframe. We want these two things to be right on the numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually... Okay, good. Why don't we do this? And then when we get to this one here, we've got this. We'll go back to our properties. We'll change our alpha to zip. We'll come in here, right mouse click, create motion tween. Let's see how that looks. So we're here. Yeah, see, that's not going to work real good because that pops us too quick. So we're going to have to figure out what we have is a real long alpha tween. So we really need to come in now and change these two items. So we're just going to grab those and shorten that little tween right there and see how that looks. And there it is. See, we still have just a little too much. So let's go in and look at this. And there it is with that. And there it is there. And I think what we're going to really have to do is look at this. Let's come back in here. And this is probably where we're going to apply the... No, we still want to apply, now, just like we did down here, we still want to apply this motion tween. And the problem is it's happening so quick. We want to change that. And see, the blur doesn't work as well in this particular instance because we're trying to work with the graphics and the blur here. We would be better off, in fact, one of the things that you want to think about, and let's look at this, we can actually come in here and turn this, we'd be better off breaking all this apart and not treating it as text and treating it as an image. And we could do that quite easily actually. So if I have my blur image here and then I have this one, what I can do is drop it in here, break it apart, and that's probably a better option because this blur is happening so quickly here, and that's kind of one of the pitfalls is how quickly it's happening. Okay, there's not a lot we can do about that. We can, you know, change the easing a little bit, but you know, it's really, that just makes it a little smoother for us, so that's not going to help us a whole lot. And the problem is once we get to here, there's, you know, we're done. Okay, and so, oops, I don't want to move that. So one of the things we really got to think about is it worth it to do this? Are we getting the same effect? Obviously we're not. So the next thing we can do is at this point we can see how it looks if we come in here and put this back. Let's look. Yeah, see, we're getting to 0 there. So we really got to look at this because this is one of those instances where it's good to experiment because it's obviously not giving us the kind of thing that we want to see. It's happening way too fast, and we are just not going to get the same results. Even if I move this here, I'm still just not going to get those same results. See right there? So I'm going to have to really tweak this to see if this is the kind of desired result that I want to get. Because look here, I'm just not getting the same effect. Okay? So the other thing to do then is to break this text apart, turn it into another image. And let me show you how we do that. Let's go ahead and get rid of all this. In fact, let's just dump this timeline right here. Okay, I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to bring my text here and type in educateonline.org. I'm going to change the color a little bit right here. Okay, and the reason I think, you know, changing the color shows us what's going on here. Okay, now I'm going to come in here, modify, and I'm just going to break apart all the text so that we can just treat it as an image. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to say convert to symbol, and let's see, let's call this blurred logo. Okay, hit OK. So now I have this first instance right here. I'm going to right mouse click in here, insert a blank keyframe, and then I'm going to come in here and grab this one. So now I have two keyframes. I have this one and I have this one. I'm going to come in here, grab this, and I'm going to change the color. Okay, and I'm going to change it. Actually, we have to do something first, and what is that? We have to go back in and apply a motion tween. A filter. So we're going to grab this, grab a filter, and look, it doesn't allow us to do it on a graphic. So now we need to go back in and change this, modify this, convert to symbol, turn it into a movie clip. Those kinds of issues. We'll just call it logoed because we're getting logo. We're getting blur. And we can come in here now and notice what's happening here now. We're really getting a different effect. Okay. And again, we can come in here and play. One of the things that we want to do is here's the original logo. Here's this. We're going to come in here. Let's do this. Insert another keyframe here so that when we get to this, what's happening? Yeah, we're going to come in here and play with this one. Well, let's change our alpha properties. Okay. We're going to twist that all the way down. And see what's happening here is, let's put another layer. And you know what? Thinking back now, I'll bet that's what happened. I forgot to put it as a layer underneath. I'm going to grab this, drop it there, so that now what happens is, boom. Let's do this. Let's pull this one right to there, and this one right to there. And I feel like a silly fool now because that one could very well have worked and I just screwed it up. Okay, create motion tween. So now what's happening is this. We get this, and again, see, we're still going to have that kind of same problem, so we've got to figure out what's going on. And see, no matter what happens in this particular instance, we're still getting the same issue. So this is kind of one of those things where it's good to see how we can work these issues out. I like the effect on the bottom better just because we can take this graphic and really, this one here that we created in Photoshop or any GIMP. We can use GIMP, we can use Artweaver, we can use any graphic program like that to create that, and it works really well. So this is one of those situations where you have to kind of experiment, gives you a good basis to look and see what's going on, and then you can kind of get an idea what it is that you like versus what you think should be there. And again, if you want to experiment, by all means get out there and just kind of get an idea of what you like. Okay. Because remember, what we're trying to do here is sharpen the image. We're not trying to make it pop. Okay, so that's why the first two work much better. Okay. All right, if you have any questions, email me, give me a call, or come by and see me during my office hours.